Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 29th and best episode of the Hashcast. And as always, I have a guest way cooler and way more interesting than myself. And tonight, I have a very special treat. Ellie Rhodes, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. I know you're feeling a little under the weather, but you can't see, you can't hear, so it's all good on this end. But for people who might not know who you are, they're missing out, who are you and what is it that you do?
So I am currently a product manager on Assassin's Creed Odyssey at Ubisoft Quebec. I've been a community manager and like events person, basically just marketing in the games industry for the last 4 years or so.
And you are probably the most British sounding person in Quebec City right now. So how did you end up there?
So long story short is my husband got a job here, so I moved with him. And it seemed like a great idea at the time.
Yeah.
And 2 winters in,
Yeah.
I am less certain of that, but we've had a great time here so
Yeah.
far. And yeah.
Yeah, it's the good old Canadian winters. When I just moved to Canada, I was like, wow, snow. I was looking out the window because where I'm from, like, we don't get a lot of snow. And when we
Same.
do, yeah, and it's like special, right? You go out, you build a snowman, you're like, yay. And then the second winter, I was like, yay, snow. And now I'm like 8 winters in, I'm like, fucking snow. I can't stand it anymore. So that's good because you've had the world tour. So you are now with Ubisoft. But before you did that, you just mentioned quickly like you did community management and events. Where else have you been? Because I know you have your name on a couple of things. So some of my favorite games even from the good old days. So if you would timeline it out, like how did you get started in all these shenanigans?
Oh God. So I basically left college with not a lot of qualifications. And I went into working in game retail. I did that for, I think it was 3.5 years. And in that time, I started to like expand my social media following. I started to go to conventions. I then started running my own events in the store that I was working in. I did social media then for the store as well as my own stuff. I was picked up by Oddworld Inhabitants for basically being a super fan online, and they hired me to do their social media for them.
Yeah.
And then I worked at Team 17 for around a year. And I was on multiple brands. The biggest ones were probably Overcooked and The Escapists.
Okay.
And then I moved to Canada.
Good old Canada. Did you have anything ever to do with Worms? Because it's my favorite game. Team 17 of all time.
A little.
Yeah.
It wasn't my brand personally, but we were all involved on all the different brands because it's being a community manager, especially in a team, it is a team effort. We were always bouncing ideas off of each other. I was involved with the live streams and the community events that were on the Worms side, just like my colleagues were involved on my events and things too.
Yeah.
So I got to know some of the Worms community quite well through the weekly live streams, which was cool. I always sucked at it though.
Yeah.
So I had to get all the good people on my team
Yeah.
to save me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I played that game before they even did like the rebrand of it, because it was like in the beginning it was just like very pixelated style.
Yep.
And that's I had that on a demo and I played only 2 levels, hours, like hundreds of hours of that game, and you only had like 4 weapons. I don't know why it was so good, but Team 17. Every time I hear that name, I was like, Worms. I still know the theme song. We are worms. It's terrible. But that's fun because community management. I've had a community manager before, but that was more from the other side, from like an outlet perspective. What does that entail as a person? Like, what is your job every day, and what are the things you deal with as a community manager?
It vastly varies depending on who you work for. In different companies, it can mean completely different things. Like, for example, at Team 17 and kind of at Oddworld too, it was mainly social media management. At Team 17, it was more about the statistics and looking at engagement and all that kind of stuff. But then we also got to have fingers in all the pies with like brand and doing the events and working conventions and things like that. Whereas like at Ubisoft, there's multiple different levels to it. So there's different stages of management, and then there's people that are more hands-on, people that run all the social media side. Yeah. So it can be completely different, like depending on where you are. For me, it was always about engagement with the community. That was like the prime goal of my job. It was obviously the statistics side is important, but I've always been quite hands-on with the communities and got to know them. And the bottom line of it is just to be the face for the game. And to provide the community and the players with someone to talk to and a point of contact. Yeah,
well, and that's pretty awesome. Like you already had something super cool going on, but then you moved to Canada and you start working with a big U, which is like just launched one of the biggest games this year, I would say, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. How did that make you feel when you got that phone call? Can you come work on the biggest launch? I'm still a little mad about the whole Assassin's Creed thing because we were talking before and all the people I knew were working on it without not telling me. But I already gave your husband crap about that as well. So how did it feel to... were you an Assassin's Creed fan before that, or did that help a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I've played, I think, 4 of them. I've never been like a solid fan of the series, playing them from start to finish kind of thing. I only really got into them maybe 6 or 7 years ago. Yeah. I think my first one was Assassin's Creed 3, and I'd played bits of 2 and Brotherhood. But the first one that I played all the way through was 3, which everyone will hate me for. But it was totally surreal. And even now it's completely surreal. And people say, oh my God, you worked on Assassin's Creed. And I'm like, yeah, I did. That's terrifying.
It is terrifying. Because I've been following you around on social media, and it was this summer, early fall. You took over their Instagram account when you went to Europe, I believe. How did that go? Because I got to see you like from a completely different angle all of a sudden, where you get to do that. Was that a first that you got to run a project that big, or?
I mean, it felt really normal to me. That was the most normal part of my trip around Europe.
We're going to get into that comment later.
So it was pretty much just for Gamescom that I took over the Instagram account, because I was running the public booth. So I was spread out all over the place between the different stands that we had that were all open to the public. And the goal of me taking over the Instagram account was basically just to give people eyes online as to what we were getting up to. And it meant that I got to have really good fun with the cosplayers and with the fans that were coming and taking photos with like the Leonidas statue. And that is the kind of thing that it comes quite naturally to me. So it felt like going back to community management again. It was really nice. And I was doing like call outs to people saying like, come and take photos with the cosplayers. They're here now, and we've got these shields, come and grab those. And it was just super nice to have that engagement again. And I was getting people messaging me every day, like, keep doing that, you're doing great. Like, it's awesome to see. So,
it was pretty cool to see, but it must be, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but different, like, when you're working on, like, social media management, you are still very much behind the computer, and you are the Twitter account. Now, when I see you, you are like the face, but it's like your face on it. So you expand your own audience, like, by a multitude of, like, 17 billion, because I don't know how many Assassin's Creed fans there are. How is that for you to step into that spotlight as you as the person instead of the Twitter account or the brand?
Well, because of how I handled the social media accounts when I was doing community management, I'm quite used to having my face out there. Okay. Because, like I say, it's always been a big part. It's like, I am not the company. I am me, and I am a person for you to talk to who doesn't necessarily represent the company as a whole, but I'm there to be the middleman and to be the friendly face. And I've actually made some really good friends through the Gamescom Instagram thing, because people came and found me and they were like, I've seen you on Instagram, hi. And then we've like kept in touch since then. So it's been super nice. it's been terrifying how quickly my Twitter following has grown since then.
Yeah, I just checked this afternoon. I was like, wow, you've like doubled at least. I think, yeah,
doubled since like July. I've pretty much doubled, which is terrifying because that's pretty much all come from Gamescom and the launch. But it's super cool because it means that I'm now getting tagged in people's photo mode pictures every day, and I'm getting people telling me about their experiences with the game, and like I've got all the community members from like the Mentors Guild. They're all super cool people, and I talk to them regularly, and this has all come from being that face, which is really nice.
What attracted you to becoming, because it's a job, but I think it's a very specific job. It needs a certain type of personality. Did you kind of roll into that, or did you, before you even got into this kind of work, were you always this social, super approachable, super awesome person, and it kind of naturally moved into community management? Like, how did that work for you?
So when I came out of college and I decided I was just going to work in game, I was like, I like video games. I'm going to apply there and I'll see what happens. And as I was working there, I realized that I really enjoyed not selling people games, but selling people on the subjects that they cover and the things, like finding them something that fit them as opposed to something that benefited me or the company. So while I was doing that, people would say to me like, oh, you're really passionate about this, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, because like I don't want to just sell you something and you be disappointed with it. I'd rather give you something that you will enjoy and give you a good experience so that you'll then come back and say, you recommended me something good last time, do it again, please. And from that, I realized that I could do this passion as a career. And I started to talk more about games on social media. And then I started a blog and I started streaming, and I was just exuding this enthusiasm for games like all the time. And then I was like, wait, I can actually make a career out of this properly and do community management and social media management. And it was a good fit for me, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I would say you're amazing at it, of course. But I thought it's so typical how the type of person ends up in that role. It kind of makes sense to me because it does take a lot of personal energy, I would say, positive, but it's also hard because I think you mentioned once that you're kind of the shield of the company. It goes through you first, and then you have to deal with that feedback. Like we've had a great week for feedback in the industry. How do you manage to get either good at that, or how do you deal with that? Because in all the when I hear you talk, it's always very positive. You're a very positive person, but other people might have a little bit more trouble with it when you work around the not so fun stuff. But how do you get good at that? How do you keep that positivity just flowing?
A great number of things. I think I will sometimes it's, to start with, like, I'll keep going back to this because this is basically just my foundation, but working in retail did wonders for me. Because you learn to just keep that smile there. Doesn't matter what people are saying to you, you stand, you smile, and then you offer more help. And it really helped me develop a thick skin, like very early on. And I realized that people don't like moaning on social media. Like, you can't really come home from work and then blast it all over Twitter and say, oh, I've had a shocking day and people were ranting at me and this thing broke. Because people don't want to know. If you put a positive spin on things, people are much more receptive, and then they start to look to you to boost their positivity levels as well. So it's just something that I've always tried to do. I've tried not to be negative about things. I've tried to sort of push my positive attitude as much as I can. But everyone has bad days. Like, it happens more often than people would have you believe on social media too. So
I guess that's true. Do you because you're not the first community manager or the first person that does this job, do you have people that you look up to, or where you draw inspiration from when you do this job? Or is it just like you're pure natural talent that you just are in the wheel every single day?
Um, I wouldn't say I have like role models as such. It's more I consistently admire everyone who continues to soldier on in the games
Yeah.
industry, especially like you say after the week that we've had this week.
Yeah.
Like everybody is constantly battling to have their passion seen and loved, and it can be really difficult sometimes. Like all it takes is for like the wrong wording
Yeah.
in a press release or the wrong thing that's said at an event, and suddenly everyone will pile on you. And the people that stand through that and get past it are like it's they are the good people.
Yeah.
And everybody does that pretty much on a daily basis as well. It's
Yeah.
something that happens a lot, and people will continue to just push on.
Yeah.
And that's what I really admire. I think
Yeah.
the fact that these people will pour their heart and soul into projects and still just carry on in the face of it all.
Yeah, no, that's what I appreciate about people like yourself, because you have your face on it, but at the same time, it's sometimes feel like a bit of an invisible job to manage a brand like that, and people sometimes lose track of the people behind the product, because you've worked on Assassin's Creed, you're part of the team, but like people don't always understand how much effort goes into these things, and like you said, like you control social media, and that's good until it's not, right? Like it doesn't take much, and then all of a sudden you're in the real bad spotlight. So I think people who are listening to this should also look at you for inspiration, because you're one of the most positive people that I know that does this job, and I think that's a great job. But do you still have moments where you do this job and you're like, oh shit, this is like my life, this is like my job right now?
Yeah, it's totally crazy to me because I've not been in the industry that long. It still feels completely weird.
Yeah.
Like one of the most surreal moments for me, I guess, was walking into Gamescom and seeing the artwork that I'd worked on like plastered everywhere. The stuff that I'd managed from like conception through to the final image,
Yeah.
and seeing it all over the booth, and then like loading up all the pods, and they'd all got the artwork on, which was the splash screen for the game, and I did that artwork too, and I'm like, oh my god, this is mad.
Yeah.
Like it's every day I think I'm so lucky to be where I am.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'll ever get used to it. I've stopped getting starstruck though, which is nice.
Okay.
I don't really get that anymore because
Okay.
I realize that everyone is just the same
Yeah.
as me. Everybody's like counting their stars.
Yeah. I do want to hear now, because you said you stopped being starstruck. What was a good example of getting starstruck when you just got into this business? I think you told me this in person once, but I want to get it on the record.
So there's been a few times where this has happened. I think my favorite one was when I was at EGX Res in London a couple of years ago, and I was stood in the insert coin like store that they had set up, and someone was like, "Oh my god, there's Ken Levine." I was like, "Oh my god, where?" And I saw him, and I just gawped.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my god, what do I say?" And he like looked at me and then just carried on, and I was like, what do I do? But yeah, there's been a few moments. I think the most recent one that was, I didn't quite realize what had happened until after it happened.
Yeah.
I eventually managed to meet up with Doug Cockle, who's the voice of Geralt in The Witcher. And I've been trying to like meet up with him at events for the last like 18 months or so, and we keep missing each other. And I saw him and I like yelled. I was like, Doug! And I like charged across the show floor to him. And he looked at me and he was like, I know you. And I was like, yeah, it's Ellie from Twitter. And he was like, finally! And he like gave me a big hug. And yeah, it's just super nice to meet these people because they're just as excited to meet you as you are them. So yeah, that's why the starstruck feeling is gone now, because they are just normal people at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is hard though. It is hard. I think I would still be very impressed if I would meet Geralt, the Witcher. But we'll see. I would love to meet him. I would love to have him leave me a voicemail.
He's super sweet.
Oh yeah.
Like I have a video on my phone that my friend took and sent to me of him like doing the Geralt voice and being like, "Sorry, I can't meet you, Elle." And it was like, it was amazing, and it made my day. So
that is pretty good. Yeah, I'm a little jealous of that. Not Star Trek, just plain up jealous. But I feel we skipped over a giant part of your an enormous skill set, because you were talking about when you went to Gamescom and you saw the booth and had your artwork on it. Because I know that's something you do as well that we just completely neglected. So what is it that you do with the art stuff?
So, I about 4 years ago, I decided I wasn't doing much with my life and I was going to go to university. And I did a foundation art and design course at the University of Derby in England. And it was great. It was only a year. And I realized that I didn't want to do art and because I wasn't very good at it and it was a lot of effort. And I was like, I'm not cut out for this. And then went into marketing. And when I started at UB, I had the opportunity to help produce the high-res and mid-res artwork that is used throughout the campaign for the game. So the first one that I was kind of given as one of my projects was the big vista showing like the city with Poseidon and Cassandra's like stood on a rock. And it was the most stressful experience probably of my career to that point. And I essentially, for the rest of the campaign, because I did a good job in theory on that image, I then took over the production for the other ones, which is basically liaising between the agency that do the artwork and the production team and then the brand teams to make sure it's all like running smoothly and everybody's happy and it's showing what we want to show. And then it reached the point where I was starting to do the concepts. Me and the art director would sit down and be like, right, we want to do this and this. And then I'd take screenshots and mock up concepts and doodle on things and draw arrows and sizes and stick people. And they then became the final images, which was really cool. So I kind of used my art degree a little bit.
Oh, that's good. That sounds like one of those moments where you find yourself like picking out concept art for like a huge game like Assassin's Creed, where I'd be like, oh man, I'm there now. Like, that's what I'm doing. You saw specifically huge titles. Is there a big difference in like how that feels, if it's like a AAA title or one of the smaller titles, or is it just like everything is not the same? But it feels like more prestigious, right? Like a AAA big title, more funding, or is it just the part of the job? Like, does that fade away a little bit?
I mean, the roles are very different in how they are handled. Because at UB, I have very specific things that I'm kind of assigned to. So they tend to find where your talents lie and then give you topics and tasks that are along those lines as much as possible, so that you're doing things that you enjoy and things that you're good at, basically. In indie development, you kind of wear all the hats at once. It's like, right, Ellie, I need you to like write these social media posts and check out these pack shots and like go and plan this event and do this launch party and then do these statistics and do this live stream and go to this convention, and it's everything is everywhere. Whereas in AAA, from what I've experienced so far, it's very much like you have your role and you stick with it, and you can kind of dabble a little bit in other things. But the idea is that you have something that you really love and you follow that path. And I kind of struck gold really at UB because I've loved all the different tasks that I've had over the course of this campaign. It's been super cool.
The downside being that you have to live in Canada in the winter.
I mean, I love it here. It's great. Like, now that my French is improving, I'm getting better, so it's good. It's just the 5-month winters are difficult.
5 months, not bad. 5 months, not bad. So I want to talk a little bit more about you as a person as well, because you're very interesting. You do a very interesting job, but you know you're more than the job. So you live in Canada now. You're from the UK originally. You've spent most of your time, or did you have had some time in another country as well?
No, this was my first move to somewhere else. I lived in Nottingham for pretty much my whole life. Spent a year in Derby for uni and then moved to Canada. So I've led a sheltered life
Yeah.
up until now.
Are you the only one of your family that's here in Canada? Yeah.
Yeah. All my family is still in my hometown.
Yeah.
So yeah, no one has really moved away or lived anywhere else. They've all stayed very local. Like I've had the odd cousin that's like gone to live in Bristol or something. But in general, we're very close knit and quite like everybody likes to stay near home.
Yeah.
So it's like super cool that I've gone off and everyone's like, what is happening here? We're all so proud of you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just moved to Canada.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's funny because I have the exact same story basically, where I am the only one of my family that also moved to Canada, except I'm not as good in French as you are by now, probably. It's like, I think when you move from like England or from, in my case, the Netherlands to Canada, is very easy to get accustomed to. You're in like super French Quebec City, slightly more of a adaptation probably than what I have to go through here, but you're still very successful, and that's pretty impressive, I find, when you come to a new country and you roll into this job. What is it about you that makes you adapt so well, that makes you successful? Like, what is your drive? What is it that you think you have? And this is where you get to toot your own horn, that helps you be successful. Like, what is your secret sauce?
I honestly don't think I could quite put my finger on it. I guess I've always just been very driven, and it's like, right, I am going to Canada, I'm gonna be successful, I'm gonna enjoy it there, like you will be happy kind of thing. So it's taken some getting used to, for sure. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's not been easy.
No.
Because moving to another country is never easy. I wouldn't have been able to do it like without Stephen, my husband. He's done this several times now. Like, he's moved around a lot, so he was amazing in helping me adapt. I try and find things to keep myself occupied. So starting my job was amazing. It was all of a sudden I had like, I was like, that's it. I'm set now. I'm good. I'm working and it's amazing, and I'm on such a cool game, and it made the world of difference, like when I started working. But yeah, I just keep myself occupied. Like, the point is to never sit still, because when you sit still, you're like, oh God, I'm like 3,500 miles away from everyone I know. And yeah, I've like forced myself to go out and make friends, and I do my pole fitness classes, and that's awesome too. And then I've been like forcing myself to learn the language, and I just try and maintain the positive attitude, because if you don't, then it can easily like get to be too much, and there are times when it does. So, and I think it's really important as well to acknowledge that is a thing. It's like, it's not always going to be like sunshine and rainbows. It is hard, and knowing that and not being afraid of that being a thing is probably how I have survived here.
Well, it is impressive to see everything you've done. Just as impressive as your skills in your pole fitness, because when you post a picture of that, sometimes I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is not possible. And that's where like gravity probably doesn't exist in Quebec City. But I like seeing how you did so well for yourself in your situation, because I know it was a pretty tough trip here. Did you? Was there something? I think you told me a story about, like, did you not lose all your luggage, but you couldn't bring everything? Yeah. What happened again?
So I left some stuff in England. I brought like the core of my life with me, and it was packed into a Tesco's 3-piece luggage set, and that was my whole life, just in those suitcases. And I arrived in Quebec, and me and Stephen had got our rucksacks and our hand luggage. And the hand luggage, we'd done that a horribly cheeky thing of putting all the heavy things in the hand luggage so that it didn't like weigh the bigger suitcases down. So it was basically just filled with books and laptops. And we got to Quebec and stood at the luggage wheel, and everything was going around. And it was going around on the belt, and then there was like nothing going around on the belt, and I was like, oh my God, my luggage isn't here. And I heard my name over the tannoy, and I went over to the desk, And the guy looked at me and he did his, oh God, she's going to be mad face. And I was like, please just tell me you know where it is. Yeah. And he said, I'm really sorry, madam. I was like, just tell me you know where my luggage is, please. And turns out it was in Toronto. It just hadn't come with us on the final flight. But that was like my PlayStation, all my clothes. I literally, like, I didn't have any clothes. I had to just wear Steven's pajamas for like 24 hours. And I didn't have like my makeup or toiletries or anything. And I was just in this apartment in Canada, like with nothing apart from all my husband's things. So it was interesting. And then my luggage turned up and I was so grateful. But it was
I wonder if that's the thing in immigration in general, that you don't have to go through that extra mile of terribleness. Because when I moved to Canada, so I was moving because I wanted to be with my then girlfriend, now wife, and it was hard. Like you, I was the only one moving. So my parents drove me to the airport. My brother was there, and they all had to say goodbye. And like, it's a huge deal. Like, it's a big thing when you know you're gonna leave. It's very emotional. It's tough. My mom, bless her heart, said, "I'll grab your coat," when we left the house, and she flung it over her shoulder, which had my wallet in the inside pocket, which fell out, which we didn't know. So I arrive at the airport. I look for my wallet when I'm moving to another country. It's not there. So I was like, I lost my wallet. And then I could see it. Like, I could replay it in my head. I see her do this. I was like, it must have fallen out of the coat. So instead of having the time to say goodbye to my parents, they had to rush away to make sure that it didn't get picked up at the house. Because if I would have been stolen, I would have had from Canada cancel all my cards, and it would have been terrible. So my exit from the country was just such a terrible experience as well, and it's already hard. And the only thing I brought was my PlayStation 3 and my trophies that you see in the back here. It's my Taekwondo trophies, because I was moving into the apartment with my girlfriend, so I didn't need to bring a lot of stuff. So I had clothes, trophies, and my PlayStation. And I think it was about 2 weeks into Canada that my PlayStation 3 broke.
That's so typical.
So if you are planning to move across the world for a job or love or whatever it is, make sure that you have everything lined up, because life will kick you in the teeth when you get an opportunity to make immigration even more fun. But look at us now. We're doing well for ourselves.
We're fine.
we're in a good place. So we get to have some fun. You already mentioned, like, you are having a great time with Assassin's Creed. Is it different knowing that you've worked on it, that you know a lot of people, and when you play the game, you're still having a lot of fun with it? Because I haven't played it yet. I will soon, hopefully, but
you'd better.
I know.
No, it's been awesome actually finally getting around to playing it, because like I played it loads when I first started at UB, because it was like, right, you've got to be an expert on this. You've got to go and spread the Assassin's Creed love to everyone. So I had to know the game inside out. That was okay until Christmas, and then I didn't get the chance to play it because like everything was picking up with the campaign, and we had secret events before E3 and stuff. So we were doing things before the announcement, and we had to be ready for that. And there was just so much work that I didn't have time to play it. So the next time I got to pick it up was 3 weeks before launch, where it had gone from being a pre-alpha build with like robot voices in the place of like the actors and stuff. And there was, obviously it was not finished at all, to this fully polished final product. And like going into it, I was playing scenes that that I know people have written. Like I know I played one that Steven did, and I nearly cried at my desk. I was like, wow, this is amazing. There's like music, there's mocap, there's acting, there's like flies going all over the place and stuff, and there's different times of day and weather can like affect the scene, and it's so emotional. And it was super cool. And then I'm having a great time like just getting lost in the world as well, because there's so much to see. So obviously when you're playing it for work purposes, we had to jump into the build a lot to try and find very specific quests and information and screenshots and characters. And like, it was it was like, okay, go in and do this job and come out again.
Yeah.
So actually getting to just run around and experience ancient Greece, how it was intended to be played, is like super cool.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing fast travel, and like I don't have the debug mode now, obviously. So I'm playing it like properly. And it's one of my favorite things about it now is the mercenary system is balanced.
Yeah.
So when I first started playing, these mercenaries would come in and kick your ass.
Yeah.
Like, because the balancing was all wrong. So you'd like steal something from someone's shop or like from a box near some people, and you get 2 mercenaries that were like 3 levels above you come in to like, what are you doing stealing things from this village? And it was hell. And now I am the mercenary queen. So I can beat them all. It's fine. But yeah, it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Like finally getting to experience it.
Yeah. Well, how was it to see? I'm not sure if you were. Yeah, you must have been involved at that point when the announcement was made. I think it was E3. Nobody expected that in the first place. I think as soon as the trailer happened, people clicked in relatively quick, like, holy shit, this is an Assassin's Creed game. But the reaction was, as far as I can tell, like overwhelmingly positive, especially the part where Cassandra came in and that you had this fully rounded, super awesome, kick-ass female character. How does it feel for you from a marketing PR perspective? Because the boys I was interviewing, they were like, they're writers, you know, it's a different experience for them. So how did it feel from your end? Because we had a little bit of a leak just beforehand that kind of, for the people who are really paying attention, I think, was like, oh shit, it's happening. But I think that's a small group of people that actually like notice that on a global scale when you do the launch. But
obviously as well, people saw the leak and they saw from it was the name and the setting.
Yeah.
They knew nothing else about it. So we were like, well, this sucks, but we have all this cool stuff to show at E3. So that was super cool.
Yeah, because they had no idea it was going to be like with dialogue choices and all. That was all brand new surprise. But how does it feel to you as someone who has all this information? You know all about it all along, and then finally you get to do that big release and it goes well. Like, is that like an amazing moment for you as a person, or just for any person who worked on this, I guess?
So I have 2 stories about the launch, about the announcement day.
I need to hear both.
Okay. So I cannot remember much of the announcement day because I was so nervous about it that I spent the whole day working. I was like taking down leak videos and stuff. I was in the office. Well, I was working from 6 a.m. that day because
were you in LA when that happened, or
no? I was still in Quebec. I was holding the fort for the team, and sense. Everybody else was still asleep when these leaks were happening. And I was like trying to deal with it. And so I threw myself into things all day so that I didn't think about it. And I was like, who needs help? What can I do? And I was like running around just trying to keep myself occupied. And then it got to 4 o'clock and the conference was about to start. And I was like, right, I'm going to go downstairs. And we'd basically had this massive party set up for the whole studio in the atrium, which is like our... we don't have a cafeteria, it's like a cafe, and then like a lunch area with fridges and microwaves and things like that. And then there's a big open space where we have all our team meetings. And we had food, we had sweets, we had like drinks and stuff, and everybody was down there with like flags and like whistles and stuff and hats and stickers, and it was great. And we'd all got our dev shirts on. I was like, right, I'm ready for this. And we all sat and watched the conference together, and everyone was like screaming and cheering and stuff. And all the time I was not really focusing on what was going on, and like my heart was pounding. I was like, oh my God, what if people hate it? And that was just my biggest fear when we were gearing up to this announcement. And I had no idea how it was going to go down. And I knew that we were last on the conference. So when it came to it and it did the Spartan shield like spin thing with the logo, and I was like, oh my God, it does. And the whole room was like deathly quiet, and then everybody like erupted, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. And I was like not ready to cry, and I was telling myself like, no, you can't cry. And I now know the E3 trailer off by heart. Like for the people that met me at Gamescom, like I can like recite it and act it out for people. So it does these piano notes at the start, if you're not familiar with it. And it did the first one, and I was like, oh God. And then it did the second one, I just burst into tears. And I was just sat crying with my friends, and they were all like, is she okay? And it was just mind-blowing. Like, I can't really remember, like, the reaction after that, because it was just such a relief to finally have it out there. But a friend of mine, who's one of the writers, worked really hard on Socrates. So he did a lot of the dialogue for Socrates throughout like the entire game. And the Socrates quest came up as part of the like the demo section. And he was sat next to me, and I looked around, and he was just quietly crying because he was so proud of the work that he'd done. And like it meant so much to see him so happy about his work and so proud of himself. And like his girlfriend was there, and all of our friends were there, and everyone was just bursting with pride on the day. And it was so cool. It was amazing to witness. So,
No, I think those are stories that are important to be shared as well, because there's so much going on behind the scenes that we as the player sometimes are completely either not oblivious to. I think we know that, these, because we've all seen a Ubisoft credit roll which lasts like 45 minutes, and I sit through them now because I know people and I want to see their name on the screen when I finish them. But what we are maybe less aware of is the passion and the love that goes into this game, and then seeing your baby on the screen and see people react to it. There's so much going on, and like this week was just terrible for that. And I think it's important that we highlight the amount of effort that goes in. And sometimes it doesn't go right, but it doesn't mean that there is less love and less passion behind the scenes that really goes into that. So I love hearing stories like that from all kinds of perspectives. But that's great. You did a great job. And although I'm still mad at you, because we were having poutine, and I was like, so what you working on? And Nick was like, so what you working on? Oh, just working on a project that I can't do.
It's just a game.
It's just a game, Ubisoft thing. You'll see. The new Assassin's Creed that blew everybody's mind. But I want to ask you about Cassandra specifically, because you said you loved games for a long time. We all know how female representation in games has its ups and downs. So when you get to work with a character like Cassandra, is that meaningful to you as a woman who plays games, and to see that happen in such a huge AAA mainstream title, and again see how loved that character is? Because everyone I know plays Cassandra. I almost feel bad for the dude. You don't even know his name. Alexios?
Yeah.
Sorry. Like everybody always talking about Cassandra because she's awesome. I know what I'm gonna play. Does it have extra meaning to be part of something like that, or is it just cool to see?
It's like mind-blowing seeing the response to her, because I think there's always been like female presence in games. That's always been a thing, and I remember when I was growing up, I played Tomb Raider like a lot. I was obsessed with dinosaurs as a kid, so I'd just play like that one level in the first Tomb Raider game like over and over and over again.
I want Tomb Raider to put dinosaurs again in their games.
And it was like, it's always been normal to me that there has been women in games, but it didn't really register until I got a bit older, that it was like these women were overly sexualized, or they were like secondary characters that said a few lines, or they were like stereotypical women that aren't real women. And I've noticed recently in like the last few years, there has been more of like an uprising, I guess, of these normal women in games. And Cassandra is far from normal, but she is not sexualized. She's not stupid. She's not like even overly beautiful. She's just a woman who kicks ass. And I think that is really important representation. And she doesn't take any shit. And she loves to like take the piss out of people, and she'll tell people straight, and she'll stand up for what she believes in, and she'll fight for the people she loves. And like that is really important. And I think having her as a role playable character as well is really cool. Because I've noticed that the women that we see in games at the moment tend to be like, this is your character. We wanted to portray this very specific thing that a woman is, which is like amazing. Like I've noticed it a lot in indie games. And then as Cass, you can do whatever you want. Like my Cass is an asshole. She lies to people. She beats people up. And she's like, yep, I'm an asshole. But I know people that are playing both her and Alexios as really kind people, or people that are deliberately like inciting violence. And it's amazing to have that flexibility to be either a male or a female character. It's entirely up to you. And it's super cool. And the outpouring of love that there has been for her has just been incredible. Like everybody loves her, and there has been so much fan art, and there has been so many people saying like, I love Cassandra so much, and look at her arms, she's amazing. And like it's awesome and really humbling as well to see that kind of response from people.
And it's a shift in marketing as well, I think, because like you said, there has been female presence in games, and especially Lara Croft. In the original Lara Croft, when you play her, she's very capable, strong, but then the marketing material, like they go all out in the in a very specific direction, like because the way Lara looked in game, like it was hard to even sexualize that because it was all triangles and
she was
squares.
just a bunch of triangles.
But then in the marketing, they knew how to change that at least. But now you are part of like a marketing team for such a character as well. It must be easier and to have that support and have that a different mentality around a female character like that.
I mean, for us, it's never really been about pushing Cassandra, if that makes sense. It's always been about showing people that there is a choice. Like that has been the forefront of it. It's not, oh, look, you can play as a girl, go play as a girl. It's like, no, you can play as a girl or a guy. It's entirely up to you. So that was awesome, like to be a part of that and be a part of, like, I can only imagine how the people that worked on Mass Effect must have felt when they were like, sup guys, you can play as both genders. So like, it's super cool.
I think that is like you say, like you guys maybe have not pushed it, but the community is definitely everything I see coming out of it, and for me that like just I'm just a dude, but it's very cool to see. Like I can't wait to play, because I just some stuff to take care of first before I can buy all the games that I want to buy and play again. But I think it's a good direction that we're going in, and I like that I have people that I know, people like yourself, who are working on that, and that it's well received. Because if it was not, then this would have been a completely different conversation, right? And then the next game would have been a completely different conversation. So I think it helps trailblaze for games after and show that it can be successful. Because I think it was even The Last of Us where they were worried about putting Ellie on the cover because they were worried about sales. And I had Jill Murray on the show from Tomb Raider. Show never aired because I messed up, something didn't have sound, and she said like the numbers actually show like that it does really well. It's just this old thinking that people still think that it might not be marketable enough, but luckily they hire people like you now, Ellie, to fix that kind of stuff. So that's great. Is there anything you're looking forward to? Like we've had all the big launches. Red Dead just launched. Is there anything?
The biggest launch is yet to come.
Yeah.
Anyone who knows me and follows me on Twitter will know that I am like obsessed with Spyro the Dragon, and that comes out a week on Tuesday. It was the first game I ever played. It's how I got into games. Yeah. It was something that my dad got a PS1 and his friend got the demo disc in the PlayStation magazine and was like, you've got a kid, and like gave it to my dad. Yeah. And I started playing it, and my dad was like, oh, she actually is okay at this. She likes it. She enjoys it. they got me the game, and then I got Croc, and then I got Spyro 2, and it all kind of snowballed. And the Spyro games are like my favorite games ever. Yeah. And I cried when they said they were going to remaster it, and I cried at the trailer, and I cried at the music, and like it comes out. Well, it was due to come out like 6 weeks ago, wasn't it? And I was really upset when I found out about the delay. I was like, why would you keep this from me? And then I found out that the delay was actually, it was going to be launching on my birthday.
There we go. I was
like, this is the best birthday present anyone could ever give me. Yeah. Thank you, Activision. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to be playing Spyro on my birthday, and no one can stop me.
I just want to give a shout out to, you mentioned the game Croc, because that's the game everybody's forgotten, I think. And that was a special era. I was working retail in video games in that area, and we had a bunch of those games. And if you're like a super young listener, you don't even know what we're talking about. But like before Skylanders, there were these games where you had just lived in this 3D world, and you had just a random ass character. Like Spyro was like, nobody knew what that was.
Yeah, it was just a little purple dragon.
Yeah, it's just a little brand new character that has grown. Like, that is Skylanders now, like Spyro, basically.
And now they're pulling it back, which I'm really happy about. I mean, Skylanders was great. I played it with my little brother. Yeah. I got him into Spyro through Skylanders, but like, it's huge now.
Yeah. I've seen some of the clips. I'm sorry, and I hope this doesn't influence our friendship, but I never played a lot of Spyro. I don't know. I probably thought I was way too cool for that. I was playing like Mortal Kombat and stuff like that. But I think it's so funny.
Yeah, but the difference is I was a child. Hey, like I was a small child.
I was a larger child back then, maybe. But I think it's so funny that is the game for you that stood out, and then, like years later you still love it to bits. I'm thinking, what game would stand out for me?
I know specifically why it stands out, and it's because it was so me and my sister are 4 years apart. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine growing up that was not pleasant. We were just far enough apart to hate each other until I was about 18 and she was about 14. Yeah. And the one thing that we would always be fine with was Spyro. Okay. And I would sit and play Spyro, and she would like come and get in my bed on a Saturday morning, and she'd bring me the controller and turn the TV on, and we'd sit and play Spyro like all day. Yeah. And then we'd go on to the next one, and then we'd play the entirety of that one over the course of multiple weekends. And it was something that brought us closer. And then when I got to introduce my little brother to it as well, there's 10 years between us, so there's obviously quite the gap. And he was all Minecraft and Call of Duty, and I was like, why don't you try this? So yeah, it's like, it means a lot to me for multiple different reasons, and that's why it stands out. Like I played so many games when I was a kid, but it's that trilogy like specifically like my favorite games.
That's good, and I think that is testament to what games can be beyond having fun pressing buttons. Because I have that with two games in my era, which was Legends of Zelda, the original one, and The Adventures of Lolo, which are, well, Zelda is a huge thing, Lolo maybe not so much, but what it did for us as a family with my brothers and my my stepdad, like we were so invested in that, and we would share like our experiences. So if I would find something in Zelda, I was like, okay, you have to go to this screen, and it was very simple back then. Again, for the young listeners, like 3 screens up and 2 to the left, like that. Those were instructions that would actually work. And then burn the second bush from the right, and then there's a stairs, and you can find like a new container heart there. And that is an experience that I still remember and I'm very fondly of. Lolo as well. My mom was not a gamer at all. Would sometimes chip in. Like it's a puzzle game, so you have to like move boxes and shoot eggs and whatever. And then she would just like try shooting that snail there, and maybe you can drift. And that was such a family experience, and that is what pushes games beyond what I enjoy as well. So I love hearing you talk about Spyro, because it is. Like I said, it's a game, and it's going to be a better looking game. Are you gonna? any plans to go back to UK and bring that and go play with your sister, or is she gonna be like,
Oh, I would love to, but I've told her that I'll stream it for her.
okay,
So I won't get the side that I would normally get, where like this is where I'm going to show myself up now to be like really sad and like a huge nerd.
Yeah.
I know like all the cutscenes off
Yeah.
by heart, and we'd like act them to each other
Yeah.
and stuff. So I will miss having that, but like I don't know if I'll stream my first playthrough because
No.
I kind of want to just like sit in a duvet and cry about it, I think, for a bit, because I'm going to be so excited to play.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely going to stream it at some point because like again, at Gamescom, I was out with the Mentors Guild from Assassin's Creed, the community group. And they knew how excited I was, and they took me to the booth to go and play it. And they were like, here you go, Ellie, off you go.
Yeah.
And I was super stoked to get on this
Yeah.
pod and play. And they had 3 demos, and I played all 3 levels.
Yeah.
And like they were filming me and taking photos of me because I was so excited, and I was like dancing and singing along to the music, and I was just so happy to be playing it. And like they were going like, oh, holy shit, like she's a pro. And I was like, I've played these games so many times, and it was amazing. And I kind of want to share that with people and have that excitement just spread, because that's why I do my job at the end of the day. And like, I want to share that with people.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And if you're listening to this, and I want to hear about, everybody should have a game like that that has so much extra meaning. So if you're and you have a cool story about how video games went beyond the fun that it is playing them, let me know in the comments. I'm very curious to hear your stories as well. So you have a lot of cool stuff to look forward to, and a lot of things to play. There's so much stuff to play. I think we're kind of over when Spyro is out. We're kind of over the hill. 2018, but 2019 is going to be.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Sekiro is coming.
Yes. There is a lot coming, I think. I wonder if 2018 was the swan song, or that it's going to be 2019 for this.
It'll be
generation.
2019.
Yeah,
We've
you
got
think?
some amazing games coming, and Q1 next year is going to be busy.
Yeah.
Like there's Anthem, there's Days Gone, there's Sekiro, there's Metro is coming as well. Like there's so many games coming out before the end of March. So
yeah, it's gonna
be amazing.
Busy. It's gonna be busy. Anthem, I always forget about Anthem. It's probably because I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2. That's a game that makes you forget about Anthem altogether. But yeah, that is coming. There is so much coming. It felt like we've had it all now, end of 2018, but the new year is just around the corner.
I think that's because E3 was quite light on the new announcements. I feel like there's going to be a lot coming early next year, and then everybody's going to be like, and in winter.
Yeah.
And then announce all these games.
Yeah. I'm going to call it today, and you might have to like pull on your poker face if you have like inside info, but I think PSX 2019 PlayStation 5 is going to be announced. It has to. Like they're not.
I do not actually have insider info.
No, okay, that's
and
good. So that we can.
My educated guess would be they're going to announce it next year.
Yeah.
Or so me and Steven have a bet at the moment.
Yeah.
I am convinced that they're going to announce it at E3 and launch it holiday next year.
That could.
Like this is my suspicion, and he thinks it's going to be announced at PSX. Yeah. He thinks it'll be announced at PSX and then launched 2020.
Yeah,
and I said that if I win, he's going to buy me a PlayStation 5. And if he wins, I've got to buy him a PlayStation 5.
That's fair enough. I think everybody benefits from that bet in your household. But yeah, no, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. So we'll have to wait and see. But hey, this was super awesome. I love hearing you talk. You are such a pleasant person to talk to, and you have such an interesting story. So if we want to learn more about you, Ellie, where can we find you?
On everything, I am Ellie Joy Panic. So that's ELLIE and then Joy Panic. It's a strange handle for things, but there is a reason behind it.
Oh, that's always good.
Yeah, I'm pretty active on Twitter. Instagram is for fitness, so maybe not so much on there, but I'm always happy to talk about games and things as well.
That's
So
good. So I always call this like podcast and shill, where you can shill for whatever you want. But I know like, it's kind of your job to like promote the game and everything. Is there anything else you want to put a spotlight on, or something we should pay attention to? It doesn't have to be game related. Like we had Extra Life this weekend. I know you've been doing some streams
yeah.
for those guys. Anything on you want to highlight? You want to promote?
Oh God. I don't think so. I mean, all I would say is check out all the devs from Odyssey, really. Like there's the few that are in the spotlight that totally deserve it, obviously, like the creative director, game director, narrative director. Find the other devs and talk to them, because like I can guarantee that if you speak to them online about their experience with the game and tell them how much you love it, it will like make their year.
Yeah.
So yeah, go and shout your love at those people.
That's good advice. That's good. Everybody should do that more often. Just tell people that you love their work, because it's easily forgotten, and it's, you know, people are very quick to speak up when they don't like something, but when they do like something, it's often assumed that it was awesome. But don't. I like that. It's a good idea. For me, if you're listening to the show and you have no idea who I am the Hashtagonist. You can find me on Twitter as well under the Hashtagonist, where the O is a 0, because sometimes you have to get creative when a name is already taken by someone who doesn't use the account. No judgment there, whatever. This is the Hashcast with Ellie Joy Panic, Ellie Rhodes. This was great. I wish I could come back to Quebec City again sometimes. We'll have some poutine.
I will see you again
beer.
one day.
Yes, we will. We'll make it happen. Maybe we'll run into each other at a conference anytime soon. But thank you for coming on. I know you've been not feeling super well, but you didn't cough.
I coughed a little bit, but I've been trying not to.
Yeah, no, you're very good. Like you can let it all out once we hit the stop recording button. And if you're still listening to me ramble at the end of the show, thank you so much for your support and tuning in. And we'll be back again next week with another super awesome guest. So have a good time and good night.